So rap music and graffiti have been part of, street culture since the very beginning.
This video is something different. No hiking in mountains or beaches. This vlog is about exploring a culture very close to my heart, the hip-hop culture. So if you're someone who's into art, graffiti, history, hip-hop, or all of the above, then this video is for you. Welcome to Wynwood Walls, a street art paradise where creativity knows no boundaries.
Hi, I'm Nico and this is Wes. Limited by full-time jobs, few vacation days and a routine at home, we still try to explore the world and prove that it is possible to travel without quitting your career goals and leaving your life behind. We are now in country number 24, specifically in Miami, where we're gonna dive deep into the history and background of the graffiti capital of the world, Wynwood Walls.
Tell me you're in Florida without telling me you're in Florida. We're in a very special place, Wynwood in Miami. As you can see in the background, this is a very colorful area. We don't know a lot about this area, but we're gonna find out for sure. We're gonna ask people about it, and ask we did. Every conversation with locals made us understand this place even better, starting with two friendly fellow YouTubers who have actually just moved to Miami.
We're in Wynwood right now. It's very lively. This is more like the tourist section of Miami, really.
Tacoma, Washington.
Washington. We drove 50 hours to get out here, man. This is where we live now, though, man. So we're adapting.
So you're sort of locals. So you see a lot of graffiti around here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the story behind that? Do you know that?
Creativity.
I think it's because it's people who want to, put on for their cities, and their goals are massive, and they want to expand it. I see that in multiple businesses, as you see. You gotta expand it a lot.
Yeah, like the creativity.
It's high in Florida. It's really high.
I feel like too, it makes the energy more lively. Because there's more colors to look at on the buildings, rather where we come from, it's really just gray and brick buildings, brick and mortar. So there's not a lot to look at.
A tourist area brought to life by creativity. But we still don't know why this neighborhood out of the entire state of Florida became the cultural hub it is today. So why not ask a street artist himself? And why is it Wynwood that's so popular for the art?
Because this area was basically warehouses, so there was art here before the Goldmans got here, and once he decided to do something here, he wanted to make sure that was the main staple. So if you look at the larger buildings, they all have huge murals and pieces of art on them. That's Tony Goldman's contribution to the street art culture, is to make sure that whatever gets developed in this area, some street artist is getting, a commission.
Wynwood started as a warehouse district in the early 20th century. By the mid-1900s, it had fallen into a decline, with abandoned buildings and empty streets. In the early 2000s, developer Tony Goldman saw potential in Wynwood's empty walls. In 2009, he launched Wynwood Walls, turning the area into an open-air gallery of street art. This sparked a cultural renaissance. Artists and galleries flocked to the area, and Wynwood Art District was born, featuring monthly art walks that drew large crowds. Today, Wynwood is a bustling neighborhood filled with art, boutiques and eateries. And it's a prime example of how art can transform a community. We spoke to some locals who spoke to an artist, and we got some answers about Wynwood and the graffiti history and everything and why it's important here. But we don't have all the answers yet, and I'm not really satisfied. So there's a hip-hop and graffiti museum just around the corner. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna try to find the answers on the question about graffiti and what it means to this area and what it means to hip-hop. Let's go.
So the story here at the Art of Hip Hop that's being presented is a different story because it's a story about the creatives, the behind the scenes people that gave us the image and the look of hip hop culture. So we're talking about the photographers, the graphic designers, the logo designers, the album cover artists, all these different creatives that make up a part of the hip hop community or even the hip hop industry that most people don't know anything about, but that are really important in the story of hip hop because they gave us the look and feel of it all. And so that's what you're seeing here in these images and in this exhibition.
And could you tell us something about how rap music and graffiti sort of help each other?
Well, sure. So rap music and graffiti have been part of street culture since the very beginning. Graffiti obviously is a much older sort of street art form than rap. Its roots are going back to the bigger cities in the United States and around the world, 1950s, 1940s, 1960s, depends on who you speak to and what city you're talking about. But in New York City and in the Bronx, the early pioneers of rap, of DJing, and of graffiti were all together. They were all friends. And so they collaborated a lot, whether they were collaborating, writing on the walls together, or when they started doing parties together, like Cool Herc parties, he would have people like Riff 170 or Phase 2 or others make the flyers. And so there was a mutual respect and admiration for everybody's talent. And so this collaborative or this cooperation has been going on since the very beginning.
And I see now that artists like Jay-Z, Redman, Eminem use a lot of graffiti artists to design their album art, right?
Yeah, that the graffiti artists, but it's interesting. So artists like Jay-Z or Ludacris or many others use graffiti artists now, maybe not even knowing that they're graffiti artists, because graffiti artists have gone into the design world and have made a really big impact and started their own agencies and are very successful. I think what you learn from graffiti, a lot of it is design and colors and composition and letter structure, but you also learn marketing. And you become a professional eventually if you go into that field. And many of the top designers that the music industry uses have a graffiti background. So I think of Jay-Z's Blueprint or Ludacris's Chicken and Waffle, that's designed by Morning Breath. Morning Breath, Jason Noto and Doug Cunningham. Doug is a pioneer graffiti artist from San Francisco. You think about the other work from, let's say, Biggie Smalls or Public Enemy or Mary J. Blige or Redman, those are designed by Say Adams. Say Adams was a graffiti artist from New York City, from Queens, who got to start very early on the trains. And so I think some of it's intentional, some of it is by chance, because the artists that are really making moves in the design world in music have this sort of street background, and I think it's important to recognize them.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
So not only is graffiti or skill writing, as one of the greatest graffiti artists in the world of all time called it, he thought the term graffiti was a bit degenerate, so he called it skill writing. I just learned that in a museum. But not only is it used to create art and show creativity, but the graffiti in this area comes from Asia, Europe, America. So it's a whole gathering of different art forms, which brings a lot of diversity to this place. Every corner you look, you see a different story on the walls. And one of the museums we visited today calls it the Walls of Truth or something. So if you have time, and you like art forms, hip-hop, colors even, stories on the street, you definitely have to visit Wynwood. It's a must on your Miami list.
I am the only street artist on the streets of New York, on the streets of Wynwood, doing live art. So take a piece of Wynwood home with you.
Yo, yeah, man. Make sure you guys go subscribe to me at GOGGL3DAEDAE. And mine is Day, DAEOMG.
About this area. Fuck, I forgot. It's a wrap. Get it? It's a rap. It's a rap.